In the name of God, in this session, I want to review session 4 and 5. And I want to give you some information about the important point, which you should summarize them. About the selection of time spent. At first, I read the paragraph very quickly, and then I say you the important point. A language changes with the time. Here, as its name denotes, this title is concerned with time. Therefore, for our purpose, it is important to determine the time span, because we want to capture the feature of a language or variety which reflected within a specific time span. Here you should just say this point that for generating each corpus we should determine its time span, because our language change, and we want to provide a corpus from a piece of the language in the period, in a special period of time. A corpus should attempt to capture a particular period of time with a clear time indicator. Therefore, it is important to specify it times. For instance, here your important matter is this tree line, but here it gives you some example about the how to select the time span. For instance, the text material produced and published between the year 1981 and 1995 are included in the TDIL. Therefore, the time span of TDIL corpus is in this period, with an assumption that the data will sufficiently represent the nature and character of use of the language as noted within this time span. Here we see the nature and character of language in this time in TDIL corpus. Okay, and it wants to change. It wants to show the changes which take place in this period. Therefore, because we are dealing with language, and our language is changing during the time, when you want to, and the piece of the language in each period of time is different from the languages another time. Therefore, it is important to select the time span or time period for generating each corpus. About the selection of text time, you can summarize this title in just 2 lines or 1. Selection of text time. It is important to specify the type of your text for generating each corpus, because an important issue in text corpus generating is to determine if it will contain written text of all types. Most of the corpora incline towards written text of standard writing. Okay, now sometimes our corpus is contain of standard writing. The aim of general corpus is to identify what are the central or common or typical to a language. Therefore, it is sensible to build a corpus with all kinds of texts of contemporary writing, where a measured and proportional representation will suffice. Okay, when you want to generate a corpus, your corpus should contain all kind of written text, and because you want, as I told you, one of the feature of corpus is its representativeness feature. When we want our corpus to be a representative one, our written text should be from all kind of written text. To be realistic, we should include works of the mass of ordinary writers, aligned with work of established and well-known writers. Okay, your corpus should contain the written texts of famous and little known writers. In this paragraph, the important point was when you want to when you want to generate a corpus from the written text, you should your corpus should contain all type of writing text. It is one point, and another is it is not important who is the writer of this text. You want to generate a corpus of written text in the contemporary period. Therefore, all of the written matters of the famous or of the little known or unknown writers, it should contain both of them. The catalog and list of publication of different publishing houses need to be consulted from collection of source materials. Your corpus written text should contain books, newspapers, magazine, journal for text selection and collection. A corpus which gathers text from various sources. Okay. A corpus which gathers text from various sources and disciplines, where individuality of particular source is made obscure, is broadly heterogeneous in nature. In a sense, diversity is a safeguard to corpus against any kind of skewed text representation. Okay, just repeat the previous paragraph in another way, in another, and it paraphrases it. Your written text can be contained and including books, newspaper, magazine, journal, and other type of written text. Here, this is the example. When you want to paraphrase and summarize your matters, your session, it is not necessary to write any example. For example, in this paragraph, for selection of time, you should just point to the important matter which comes at the three first lines. And these lines are not important because I don't want you to give me example. And here, just about 3 lines is important in this title, which when your corpus is from all written text type. You should choose all written text from all sources of writing matters like book, newspaper, magazine, journals, and ignorance its writers, because your written text both contain the famous and unknown writers. It is just important matter of this title, and it is not important. Okay, here it gives you example of selection of text type, because by this example it was to clarify this matter for you. Therefore, it is not important for me to give this example in your summarization, because as I told you, your summarization task should contain just 1 or 2 pages, not more. And in this TDIL Bengali corpus, which is contain text from okay, it wants to show you the diversity of this corpus, and it wants to say you that when you want to generate a corpus, you should have a diversity in your type of text. For example, in literature, it has 20%. For art, it has 5%. Social sciences, it has 15%. Natural sciences, it has 50%. Commerce, it has 10%. For mass media, 13%, and translation, 5%. And it's come from literature and essay, which its literature includes novels, short stories, fine art can include drawing, painting, music, sculpture. It wants to say you that in this corpus we have our corpus is very comprehensive, because when it's used the literature, all forms of literature like novel, short story, essay, and others are included in this corpus. For method of data sampling, text data has to be sampled and selected from the collected source materials according to the need of an investigator. Okay, the text has to be sampled and selected from the collected source materials according to the need of an investigator. At first, it depends on your purpose of that generating corpus to choose the method of data sampling. Sampling of data can be random. Here, three kinds of sampling data is shown for you. The sampling of data can be random, regular, or selective. The sampling of data can be random, regular, or selective. There are various ways. It is important here. One point is that you choose the method of data sampling according to the goals of investigator. Another matter is sampling has three kinds here, which contains random, regular, or selective. There are various ways for data sampling to ensure maximum representativeness of text in corpus, because as I told you, your corpus should be representative. We must clearly define the kind of language we want to study before we define the sampling procedure for the corpus. However, random sampling, you should know the definition of each kind of sampling. But what is the random sampling? Random sampling is a good technique that can save a corpus from being skewed and unrepresentative. We have used this technique for developing the TDIL corpus of Indian languages. This is a standard technique which is widely used in many areas of natural and social sciences. Okay, you should know just that random sampling is one of the important ways of data sampling, which help you to generate a representative corpus. Another approach is to define a sampling frame based on the nature of a study. Okay, another technique is define a sampling frame based on the nature of a study. Designers of the brown corpus is one kind of the corpus, for example, adopted this. They used all the books, periodicals, magazines, journals, and other texts published in the particular year. This written corpus was made up with texts of different genres, such as newspaper reports, romantic fictions, legal status, scientific writings, social sciences, technical reports, and so on. Okay, it is another kind of data sampling, which is based on the nature of a study, which the Corpus Brown used that. Another reliable way is to use the complete bibliographical index available in a language. It was the regular way, and it is the selective one. Another reliable way, which is the selective one, is to use a complete bibliographical index available in the language. For instance, the British National Bibliography and Wheeling's Press Guide are used for generation of Lancaster, also Bergen corpus. Okay, here in this paragraph introduced three kinds of data sampling, which was random, regular, selective, and it say that the data sampling, the choosing of data sampling method depends on the investigator goal, and here it gives you three examples of these three kinds. One of the widely used kind of data sampling is random, which is used in TDIL, which it helps the corpus to be representative. Another one was regular, which depend on the nature of the study, like the brain corpus, which it used all kind of books, periodical, magazine, journal, and other texts published in particular year. And another one was selective, which was a reliable way, and we have it in Lancaster, Usluberg, Corpus, which it used the bibliographical index available in the language, like British National Bibliography, Reading Press Guides, and others. Method of data input. Okay. Here, all of these matters are important. Your final exam, like your previous session, your previous semester, is multiple choice, and your tasks are vital important, and I will give about 15 or 13 marks to your tasks, and about 6 marks is for your final exam. Therefore, your tasks are very important, and you should pay attention to them. Methods of data input. Data from electronic sources. Okay, here you can see some methods of data input, which is data from electronic sources, data from the websites, emails, reading of text, and manual data input. What about the data from electronic sources? In this process, text from newspapers, journals, magazines, books, etc. are included if these are found in an electronic form. Okay. Therefore, all the newspaper, journals, magazine, books, and others can be the data input for electronic source if we have the electronic form of this data. Another one is data from the websites. This includes text from web pages, websites, and home pages. Data from emails, which is like electronic typewriting emails, which are also used as a source of data. Another one is machine reading of text, which it converts printed text into machine readable form by way of optical character recognition OCR system. Using this method, printed materials are quickly entered into a corpus. Another one is a manual data input, which is done through the typing text in computer. This is the best means of data collection from handwritten materials, transcription of spoken text, and old manuscripts. The process of data input. By data input, it means that when you want to generate a corpus, you can use this way. Sometimes your corpus contains just electronic source, and you can choose the electronic source for your corpus. Sometimes your corpus is about the websites. Therefore, your data should be from the web pages, websites, and home pages. And when your corpus contains emails, you should the electronic typewriting emails and others. And when your corpus contains the machine reading of text, which gives the printed text into the machine readable form by these systems OCR, which by using that systems, the printed material are quickly entered into the corpus. Another way, which is very common, is manual data input, which you type text in the computer, which is this is the best means for collection from the handwritten material, transcription of spoken text. Sometimes your corpus is from the spoken text and old manuscripts. The process of data input is indirectly based on the method of text sampling. Okay. We can use 2 pages after every 10 pages from the book. This makes a corpus-based representative of data stored in a physical text. For instance, if a book has several chapters, each chapter containing different subject matter written by different writers, then the text sample collected in this process from all chapters are properly represented. Each text file should have a header which contains metadata, the physical information about the text, such as genre of text like literature, science, commerce, technology, engineering, type of text which is literature, story, travel, humor, and etc. Subtype of text which is fiction, historical, social, biographical, science fiction. Name of book, name of the authors, name of the editor, year of publication, edition, number, name of the publisher, place of publication, number of pages, and others. This information is required for maintaining records and solving copyright problems. It is also advantageous to keep details record of the material so that the texts are identified on the ground other than those which are selected as formative of corpus. Information whether the text is a piece of fiction or non-fiction, book, journal, or newspaper, formal or informal, are useful for both linguistic and non-linguistic studies. Here it just explained about others information which can be important for your corpus. At time of input of text, the original text of physical source must be kept unchanged. The time of input of text, the original text can be the original text of the physical source must be kept unchanged. After a paragraph is entered, one blank line should be given before a new paragraph starts. When texts are collected, when texts are collected in a random sampling manner, a unique mark or flag is needed to be posted at the beginning of a new sample of text. Another matter is hardware requirement. For developing TDIL, here it wants to introduce some hardware for generating corpus. For developing the TDIL corpus, we use a personal computer, with a GIST or transcript card, a software, namely the script processor, a monitor, one conventional computer, keyboard, a multilingual printer, and some floppy diskettes. Text files are developed with the help of the TC installed in the PC. Okay, here it wants to say you that for generating corpus, it introduced the hardware which you may need for generating a corpus, which it can be the PC, GIST or transcript card, software which is SP here, monitor, one conventional computer, keyboard, multilingual printer, and some floppy diskettes. Text files are developed with the help of the TC installed in the PC. It just introduced those hardware which they used for TDIL. This allows the display of various Indian script and computer screen in a very convenient manner. Okay, here you can see some codes which they are not important. Another matter is the management of data files. This paragraph is not very important. You should know just this. You should just note this paragraph, and this is not very important. Management of data files. Corpus data management is indeed a tedious task. Okay, corpus data management is indeed a tedious task. It is hard. It involves various related tasks such as holding, storing, processing, screening, and retrieving information from the corpus, which require utmost care and sincerity on the part of the corpus creator. Once a corpus file is created and stored in computer, one needs schemes for its regular maintenance and augmentation. There are always some errors to be corrected, some modification to be made, and some adjustment to be made, and some improvement to be implemented. Here you can see some management information for data files, which is very hard, because you should do some of these steps for management of data files. The adaptation to new hardware and software technology and the change in requirements of the users are also to be taken care of. In addition to this, there has to be constant vigilance on the trivial task, as well as on the processing and analytic tools to be applied on the corpus. At present, the computer technology is developed to such an extent that executing this task with full satisfaction is no more a dream, but this solicits for more care in handling of the digital databases, since we know that the more powerful weapons we have in our hands, the more care is needed in their use and application to avoid unwanted damages on the resources. Okay, here the important matter is that you should know that the management of data file needs some steps to do. Here you can see its steps. Just these steps are important, which we should the steps are in this way: that holding, storing, processing, screening, retrieving information from the corpus, and utmost care and sincerity on the part of the corpus creator. All of these are important, and these two more. And these two paragraphs are not very important. It gives you some information about the new technology. Corpus sanitation or corpus editing. The process of corpus sanitation or corpus text editing begins after the texts are produced in electronic form. Okay, when you generate an electronic corpus, after that you should edit that text. Generally, 5 types of error may occur at the time of manual data entry. Okay, for example, we use the manual way to entering data into the computer, and when we done our work and we generate our corpus, we should edit that corpus, because 5 types of error may occur in that electronic form of that corpus. The error are in this way: omission of character. For example, maybe we omit some character, addition of the character. We use some character which are not concerned with that character, with that word. Repetition of a character, substitution of a character, and transposition of character. It may happen for all of us when we write a text. All of this error may occur in our text. And here this kind of error can occur in generating of each corpus. To remove sampling errors, here it gives you some way to solve them. To remove spelling errors, we need to thoroughly check the corpus and compare it. We do this editing after the writing and after the entering all of the corpus data. To remove a spelling error, we need to thoroughly check the corpus and compare it with the actual physical data source and do manual correction. Care has to be taken to ensure that the spelling of words used in the corpus must resemble with the spelling of words used in the source text. Also, it has to be checked if words are changed, repeated, or omitted. Punctuation marks are properly used, lines are properly maintained, and separate paragraphs are made for each text. Besides error correction, we have to verify the omission of foreign words, quotation, dialectical forms, etc. After generating of a corpus, the naturalized foreign words are, however, allowed to enter into a corpus. Others should be omitted. Dialectal variation are allowed. Punctuation marks and transliterate words are faithfully reproduced. Usually books on natural and social sciences contain more foreign words, phrases, and sentences than books of stories or fiction. Similarly, quotation from other languages, poems, songs, mathematical expression, chemical formula, geometric diagram, images, tables, figures, flowcharts, and similar symbolic representations of the source text are not entered into the corpus. Okay, these information are not necessary for corpus. Therefore, we don't enter them. All kind of processing and reference works become easier and authentic if corpus is properly edited and errors are moved. You can summarize. You can for summarizing this title, you can mention to this point that you should do the editing. You should begin the editing of a corpus after the generating and entering that corpus into the computer. And after that we can have these 5 of error, and here you can give some alternatives and some method to solve them. Problems of copyright here. To be in the safe side, we need clearance of copyright from all the copyright holders, publishers, and authors, speakers of for spoken text. Copyright laws are quite complicated. There is very little which is obviously right or wrong, and legal or illegal. Moreover, copyright problems differ in various countries. If one uses the material only for personal use, then there is no problem. Okay. When we collect data for our personal use, we don't use the copyright. This is fine not only for a single individual but also for a group of scholars who are working together on some areas of research and investigation. So long it is not directly used for commercial purpose, there is no problem to get copyright permission for the text to be stored in a corpus. Okay, for the commercial purpose, it is there is no problem to get a copyright permission to the text stored in the corpus. However, using materials, one can generate new tools and systems to commercialize. In that case, also the copyright is not violated. The reform generation of output provides a safeguard against possible attacks from the copyright holders, but in case of a direct commercial work, we must have prior permission from the legal copyright holders. It is not important, in this paragraph it's not important, and you can't omit it for summarizing this session. Corpus processing. The need for corpus processing arises after the generating of a corpus. We need to devise systems, tools, techniques, and software for assessing the language data and for extracting relevant information from the corpus. Corpus processing is indispensable not only for mainstream linguistic research and development activities, but also for language technology works. There are various corpus processing techniques. Okay, you should know these techniques. There are various corpus processing techniques such as statistical analysis, concordance, lexical collocation, keyword search, local word grouping, lemmatization, morphological processing, and generating, chunking, word processing, parts of speech, tagging, annotation, parsing, etc. It has been observed that the result obtained from a corpus processing often contradict intuition about the language and its properties. Okay, about the corpus processing here, we explain them in details in following matters, and you should know that these titles are related to the corpus processing, and they are kind of technique for corpus processing. There are many corpus processing software available for English, French, German, and similar other languages. For Indian, however, there are only a few. Okay, here this is not important. I just want to say that we have some software for corpus processing. Frequency count, which is one of the statistical way for corpus processing. Linguistics is a subject which has aligned relationship with statistics and mathematics. Mathematical linguistics, computational linguistics, corpus linguistics, applied linguistics, forensic linguistics, stylometric, etc. requires different statistical and quantitative results obtained from the natural language corpus. Without adequate knowledge of statistical information about different properties of a language, we can make mistakes in handling linguistic data as well as observation. Corpus can be subject to both quantitative and qualitative analysis. This is important. Corpus can be subject to both quantitative and qualitative analysis. In quantitative analysis, we classify different linguistic properties or features of a particular language. In quantitative analysis, we classify different linguistic properties or features of a particular language, count them, and even construct more complex statistical models in an attempt to explain what is observed. It allows us to discover which phenomena are likely to be the genuine reflection of the behaviors of a language or a variety, and which are merely chance occurrence. On the other hand, qualitative here, it's explained the quantitative analysis and others, which is qualitative ones, which aims at providing a complete and detailed description of the observed phenomena obtained from the corpus by quantitative analysis. After the quantitative analysis, we may have some information, and when we want to describe that information, we use that qualitative analysis. It allows finer distinctions to be drawn, because it is not necessary to show hard data to a final set of classification. Both quantitative and qualitative analysis have something to contribute to corpus study. We use both of this way to generate a corpus. However, results obtained from quantitative analysis are less rich than the results obtained from the qualitative analysis. There are different statistical approaches to achieve this goal. Okay, here you can see some approach to do that two type of analysis, which you can just point them and refer them. Word sorting. Words stored in a corpus can be sorted in two ways. The process of numerical sorting is the most straightforward approach to work with quantitative data. Here, items are classified according to the particular scheme, and arithmetical count is made on the number of items within the text which belongs to each class in the scheme. Information available from simple frequency counts are rendered either in the alphabetic or numerical order. Okay, we have two types of word sorting, which is alphabetic and numerical, and here you can see their use. Both the list can again be arranged in ascending or in descending order according to our requirement. Okay, we have numerical and alphabetic order, which they can be ascending or in descending order. Anyone who is studying a text will like to know how Often each different item occurs in it. A frequency list of words is a set of clues to a text. By examining the list, we get an idea about the structure of text and can plan an investigation accordingly. On the other hand, the alphabetically sorted word list is used for simple general references. Okay, here you can see the use of alphabetic word sorting, which is used for simple general references. Frequency list in alphabetic order plays a secondary role because it is used only when there is a need to check frequency of a particular item. However, it is useful as an object to study as it is often helpful in formulating hypotheses to be tested, checking assumptions that have been made beforehand. Yalmer. Before we initiate frequency counting and the Indian language corpora, we need to take decision about the process of dealing with the character, words, item, phrases, clauses, and sentences used in the corpus. This will restrain us from false observation and wrong deduction about the various linguistic properties of the language. Another matter which is concordance, which was related to making an index to the words used in a corpus. It is a collection of occurrence of words, each in its own textual environment. Okay, it is about the indexes, which you see the indexes at the end of all of the book. We have indexes, which in indexes we can see the occurrence of word in the textual environment. Each word is indexed with reference to the place of its occurrence in the text. It is indispensable strategy because it gives access to many important language patterns in the text. It provides information not accessible via intuition. Okay, here you can see some way to do the concordance for the corpus. Lexical collection, here you can see some information about the lexical collocation, which it is important to know the collocation of words. About the collocation, we told you that a collocation means two words which comes together. When you want to check the corpus, it is important to know its collocated words. And here you can see some example of collocation which we have. For example, a strong which collocates with motherly, showing believer, current, supporter, elder, and others. And powerful is collocation for tools, minority, neighborhood, symbol, and others. Knowing the collocations helps you to process that corpus better, because for each pair of words we can give a score. A higher score is the greater is the collocational ability of that word, which it enables us to extract a multi-word unit from a corpus to use in lexicography and technical translation. Okay, and here it gives you some information, some examples of about that collocation. Another way of processing of data is a keyword in context, a KWIC, which is widely used in corpus processing to look up each occurrence of a particular word. Okay, the word under investigation appears at the center of each line with extra space on both sides. The length of the context may be different for different purposes. It shows an environment of 2, 3, 4 words on either side of the word at the center. This pattern may vary according to one's need at the time of analysis of word, phrases, and clauses. It is great that additional context is needed for better understanding. It helps you to choose the word which you need. Another way is local word grouping, which in a local word grouping is another type of text analysis or corpus processing, which throws light on the patterns of use of a group of words in the text. It is useful where word order is important for determining semantic load of text sentence, and where individual semantic load of a constituent is affected for the presence of another constituent. It provides information for dealing with the functional behavior of constituent at the time of parsing, both in phrase and sentence level. Here we can see this way by more details. About the morphological processing, here we are deal with the words because it is morphology, and we process the words, a single word unit, a double word unit, a multi-word unit. This main objective is to identify a word in a piece of text, isolate it from its contextual environment, analyze its morphophonemic structure, obtain its original meaning, and define its syntactic role it plays in a text. Information obtained from word processing is valuable for word sense disambiguation, dictionary compilation, parsing, language learning, etc. Here you can see some models of that morphological processing. Another is part of speech tagging. Here you can see in generating of a corpus, we use the tagging and annotation. We give some information about the part of a speech of that word, which here you can see some type of tagging. For example, we when our word is known, we use this sign, and for pronoun we use this tag, which we call them as tagging. Another way of another way of tagging is word sense tagging, which we analyze them according to their meaning. Here you can see this type of tagging, which I explained them in the previous session. And here we can see some result of tagging, which can be rightly tagged words, untagged words, and ambiguously tagged words, which I told you their information. About the lemmatization, which is the process is related to identification of inflected word used in a piece of text and reducing to their respective lexemes or lemma form. It allows researchers to extract and examine all the variant of particular lemma without having to input all the possible variant, and to produce frequency and distribution information for the lemma. Another one is annotation, which we apart from the pure text, corpus is provided with additional linguistic information. Annotation means given the additional linguistic information, which we call them as annotation. It is the definition of annotation, which we give them to each word, which it is a part of a speech annotation, anaphoric annotation, prosodic annotation, and semantic annotation. This core cell annotation, which I explained them in the previous session, and they are very obvious from their names. In part of a speech annotation, we give some information about the part of a speech of that word. About the anaphoric, we give some information about the words like the annotation of the words which are like pronoun. And here in prosodic annotation, we give some information about the annotation stress and pauses, and about the semantic, we give some information about the meaning of that words. And in this course, we give some information about the level of text and discourse and the textual environment of that text. Read this reviewing, look at this reviewing after the reading session 4 and 5, and ask me any question which you have about these 3 sessions. I will clarify it for you through the WhatsApp group. Thank you.